Okay, movie 4. I am going to go back to the last leaves. I made a few changes and added a couple of leaves on the end. I added this leaf right there on the end, and I moved a couple of leaves around and then made sure that their stacking order was correct and rescaled them. So now I believe I have a better look, just a slightly better look, to the end of the as the stem grows, to the end of my leaf creation. So the next thing is going to be the PDF file. The next thing is going to be the GoGreen Comp, and we're going to do the sun and the beam layer. So make sure the sun layer is above the beams layer when we bring them both down. To go get them, you have to make sure that you have gone in and gotten them, and I don't remember where I tell you to do that. Okay, if I haven't, if I may have skipped that step, but that doesn't matter. All we have to do, oh, you know what, I'm sorry, they came in with the plant layer, duh. So of course they were already there. So let's click back to the GoGreen Final. Let's do exactly what it says. Make sure we're at the home key, which we are, and let's go find the sun and the beam, and let's command click both of them, just command click, and then bring them both down together like that. And then let's make sure that the sun is above the beams layer, which it of course is. And then we're going to turn on the continuously rasterize switch, which is this thing that I'm circling for the beams layer, so they look real clean as they move. The circle is the circle, so you really don't have to totally turn it on, but you could if you wanted to. It says here to make sure the sun is above the beams, and we're going to make the scale of the beam layer 350%. So let's automatically do that. Let's go to hit scale and make it 350. So they, no matter where they turn, look, no matter where they turn, let me hit Command R, no matter where they turn, when we rotate them, they're going to show up in the comp window, okay? Command S to save the file. We turn on the continuously rasterize switch to make sure that the Adobe Illustrator file looks good on screen at all times. I'm going to leave my comp on half because basically that looks pretty good right now, and I don't need to keep it on full because full can drag down my scrubbing speed. With the beam layer selected, we are going to add an expression in the field that appears for rotation. So let me hit Shift R, and in the field that appears, let's go Option click, and we are going to type lowercase time and an asterisk. And as Sean had done, I'm going to show you that you can experiment with this, okay? So this is the time, this is a multiplier that is going to multiply times whatever input you put in, and when I click away from this, it's going to show me that when I drag across, I mean, the sun's going just a wee the rays are going just a wee bit too fast at 250. So as we experimented, we found that 25 was a good rotation. If you want yours to go faster or slower, change the number, but I'm going to move this down to 25 and click away, and now I have a decent rotation as this thing is going to ram itself. I'll ram a couple of seconds out of it so you can see what the real ramming speed is here. That's not a bad rotation for it, so we're going to go ahead and leave it right at that. If I wanted it to go slower, I could click and just make it go to 20. And then my ramming speed will just be just a little bit slower. See, it's just a little bit slower. But I'm going to Command Z back and leave it at 25 and hit Command S to save. It prevents us from having to set keyframes. So no matter what time we make a longer comp, we make a shorter comp, no matter what the time is of the comp, it's always going to spin at a speed or a multiplier of 25. So let's go ahead and parent now, so the center of the beams stay where the sun is. Let's parent the beams to the sun. So now we can control the sun, and the beams will go with it. So now I was reading as we were going. So let's select the sun layer, and let's move the sun up to the upper right hand corner where you want it. Now I say a certain X and Y coordinate. You don't have to keep it where I set it. I said 600 by 80. So I'm going to keep mine at 600. I was close when I manually did it. There's 600 by 80. You can do whatever you want to do, but what we really want to do here is eventually we want the sun to move towards the horizon, and then we want to mimic the movement of the 3D camera that's coming up, of the camera that's coming up towards the center of the screen. So we're going to set some keys for that, and we're going to do that right now. At 5 seconds is when the screen is going to start to, actually at 5:10 it's going to start to move. So I want like a hold keyframe. So right here it says at 00 or the home key, click the position, the stopwatch to set your first initial keyframe. Then let's go to okay, sorry, I hit the wrong button. Let's go to I'm clicking something and it's not working. Okay, let's go to 500 and let's set the time as 600x, and let's bring it down to 250y. So now it comes towards the horizon. I think I will make this be on full, so at least we can see the pretty sun, and hit Command S to save every time I do it. For some reason, my Option Shift J is not working. Okay, that's very strange. Okay, I'm not going to argue with it. I probably whatever to set my current time. So let's go to set the next one. So the next one is going to be at 5:10, and at 5:10 let's set a hold keyframe. So we click the center button right there, okay, and we click the add remove keyframe button, and now we go to 610 or 610 for 6 seconds 10 frames, and let's move this over to the center of the screen at 390 on X. Now we don't want the movement. Watch how now the sun starts, it goes towards the horizon, then it moves towards the screen that way. That's not a bad animation, but we need to have these keyframes actually add an easy ease to them. But let's add an easy ease in to the first one. So let's right hand click on this one and go to Keyframe Assistant Easy Ease In. Then on the one that's at 5:10, let's go to Easy Ease Out. Then to the one that's at 6:10, let's go to an Easy Ease In, which is Shift F9. And we have our animation, which is now pretty good. Actually, I'll hit the End key, and we can see very quickly that the animation comes in, and look at that's going to come down. And now the movement over to the one side is going to look more natural. And as it slows down, it actually slows down with a slight natural movement. It doesn't just go boop and stop. It has a nice slow to it. Okay, so let's hit Command S to save the file. Didn't miss anything. There's my paper shuffling. Time to add a ground to this. So let's hit Command Y to make a new solid. Let's name it, oh, first we're going to add the sky, then the ground. But let's go, I'm going to go sky on screen, just so I know which one it is. And make it comp size, make sure it's totally comp size. Place at the bottom of the timeline, and we can make it, where do I say? Oh, we're going to make this, I'm going to turn off, I'm going to just say okay with it, okay? And I'm going to move it down to the bottom of the timeline. And I am going to, I look at it, see where I made it over here? I know you thought I didn't do that right. So I'm going to hit the home key and then hit the left bracket so it snaps, so at least it's for the whole 10 seconds. All right, now on this I'm going to turn off the sun and the beams, because I want you to see that we're going to add a ramp, and my ramp is going to be a medium green to a light green. Now so I'm going to go have a little bit brighter horizon. So I'm going to go to Effect, Generate Ramp, and I could have typed that into here. And now I want the color of the ramp, so where the white is, watch how I'm going to take the white and I'm going to put it right where the top of the hill is going to be. Now I want that color to be much more of a brighter green. So I'm going to go like a muted green bright, something like that, which I can alter in a few minutes if I want to. Okay, so let's leave that a little bit brighter. And let's click the top one and make it a little bit of a darker green. So first let me start out with this one here, and then let's darken it so it's in the same hue pattern. A little bit more like this. A little bit more like that. Let me see my color. Yeah, that's pretty good. I can always darken it in a little while. Okay, I'm going to leave it like that for now. I can always darken these later. This one probably is a little bit too bright, so let me just move it down. Actually, I'm going to leave it like that. Maybe it'll be prettier. You never know. So let's hit Command S to save the file. Now I'm going to turn on the sun here and this. And now don't worry about how raw this looks. We'll fix this all up and make it have an adjustment layer so we make it look prettier. And we'll lighten up on the sun, okay? Let me make sure I did not miss anything. Darker green, comp size, place at the top of timeline, above, make a solid, name it ground. Okay, I did brighter horizon, good. So we now need a second solid. So Command Y, let's go ground, and let's go on screen for Mr. Sorio. Okay, and now ground on screen. Okay, now the color of this, let's go into a good, make sure it's comp size, and now let's go into a good green. So let's grab this and kind of stay in the same green, but let's go to a little bit darker green so we have a good hill color here. So let's take that just like this. Again, I can always adjust it in a few minutes, and our job now is to make a mask that is going to mimic the hill shape, and we're going to animate that by moving the mask points over time. So make sure I'm at home, which I was. Hit the G key, and then we're going to take as little points as possible, and we're going to start drawing this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a hill shape, which is something like this. So let's go like this. Let's make the hill shape go down like this, and let's just make a little smiley thing go over here. Then we can go like this, and I can go click. Then I can go click over here. Then I can close it like this. And now I am going to take the Option key, and I just like making my masks look a little bit cleaner. So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to take the Option key, which is the Convert tool. I'm going to convert this down. Did I have to do that? No, it just makes it easier to maneuver it later. Now you have your hill shape. Actually, you can even add a little slight feather to this, which would, you know, I didn't even do that in the first one, which is okay, but it would kind of add a little bit. I think it would add a little bit of kind of neat stuff to it. So I'm going to go to the mask, and I'm going to add a feather of this of just like 4 pixels. Just 4 pixels. So I'm going to hit the V key, so when I click away from this, it just has a little bit of a softer edge to it, almost like a grass look. If it doesn't look good, I can take the feather away from this. Hit Command S to save. Now, what it wants us to do, let me make sure I'm right on it, is go to the end of the composition, move the mask point so the hill shape looks like it's actually moving or morphing. Now all I'm going to do is click the mask path right here, the stopwatch, to set the mask path at home. Then I'll hit the end, and now I'm going to move these points around. So I'm going to hit the G key again. I'm going to hold the Command key and click that point once up here. I need to click away, then click back. Now I can move this one down here so the hill goes down farther, and then I can move this one down here so the hill looks like it's actually moving over time. And let's just flatten out the curve slightly on this one, and you can make your hill shape do anything you want. So now I'm going to hit the V key, and I'm going to show you that over time my hill is going to look like it actually has a little bit of an animation to it. So it looks like we're moving slightly over to one side and the other, okay? Meaning that it looks like there's camera movement on the hill. I'm going to move the mask points. Okay, step 11. To make the layers look more consistent, and I'll end this one after we do the adjustment layers. To make the layers look more consistent, let's add an adjustment layer and move to the top of the timeline. We're going to name it commonize color. So let's go up here, let's close all the little things here, all the layers, and let's go to Layer, New Adjustment Layer. Oh, we're going to hit the Home key so I don't look silly, and we're going to go to Layer, New Adjustment Layer. And on this adjustment layer, we are going to right-hand click, and we're going to name it Commonize Color. And again, so I know which one it is, I have to put in on screen. Just so, because all the solids are going to appear in the same solid folder when I go show this and I close this panel. They're going to appear all in the same solid folder that's right there. And you can see right now how I already have a ton of solids. See that? Okay, no big deal. Now, go to Effect, Color Correction. With the layer selected, it's going to affect everything that's below it. Okay? So what we want to do is go to Effect, Color Correction, and Hue and Saturation. And on the Hue and Saturation, it wants me to, we're going to click Colorize, but we're going to take this raw number and we're going to adjust it. We're going to choose a hue factor here, and I said that, I mean, you can go to any color you want. I went to 90 degrees on my circle, on my color wheel, okay, to give it a little bit more of that feel. Now, to take away some of the curse of that, or to minimize its effect, there's three things we're going to do. I put my saturation at 40. So it kind of let more of that come through. It's not so, the adjustment layer is actually affecting it less. Let's go to lighten, and I made mine 50%, so now it's got a little bit more light stuff going on in it. Now, on the opacity of this is just way too, it can hardly see the background. So let's hit the T key for opacity, and then you can play with your opacity. I made mine 40%. So now I have a real nice feel on the adjustment of this. And now this has a good feel. The only thing I have to do basically is lighten up the sun. Okay, and I think that'll have a really nice feel. I even like the yellow beams that are coming out this time. So there's what it was. Here's what the adjustment layer, Commonize Color, does, and allows you to actually use a one layer to adjust everything below it. So everything that's above it will not be adjusted with it. If you want something to be adjusted, just move it below that layer or the new stuff that we put in. So now you can add color edits to the sun and the ground layers. Now, what I did was, I'm going to do it right now before I leave the screen. To lighten up on the sun, I'm going to use curves. So I'm going to go to, I could just put curves in here. I should just go to where it was, but I'm just going to put curves. And in curves, I'm going to go to Color Correction Curves and drop it onto sun. Now, in the curves, I'm going to move this over and I'm going to lighten up the sun ever so gently so that the sun just has a better feel to it. And if I take the V key and move away from this, you can see that I have now lightened up on that. I don't know if I need to do that on the beams. The beams are kind of neat the way they are. If I wanted to, all I would do would be to just hit the E key for the sun, click on the curves and hit Command C. I'll do it, and then I will go hit the plant layer, the beams, and I will hit Command V, and I brighten them up. Now, what I could do on those is I could use these to actually go darker or make it whatever I want to make it, which I'm not sure I like the curves effect on that. So I'm going to click on the curves up here and hit the delete key. I like that yellow that's there on this particular version. So I'm going to hit Command S to save. Drag the plant composition into the timeline. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to animate the one plant, and we're going to turn it into, using curves, we're going to turn it into 4 different things. Okay, so far we have not activated any 3D switch on this. The next thing that comes up, we are going to, because we're going to move the plant layers back and forth in 3D.